Hello folk, how you doing? Scotty. So I just recently got the new Canon EOS R8. I graduated with photography. It's something that means a lot, obviously for the sake of my career. I decided to upgrade from my Canon 5D Mark III. Now of course this is a camera that I still have full intention of using. It's my main camera I've been using for, the past 8 years. I do also have my Canon 70D. Now the 70D is a cropped sensor, as you know, but I wanted to get a second camera that would be full frame. Well, let's just say, in my opinion, it's quite a big jump to go from the 5D Mark III, which is a DSLR, to that of my first mirrorless camera, which has been quite an experience getting used to. I've got to say, I absolutely love it. Now I have been out doing a few test shoots with the EOS R8, and of course I've tested it in the low light. I'm absolutely blown away. And this 5D Mark III, it is basically a professional body camera. For everything that this camera has got, this can be used as a professional camera. Take the battery out the bottom, you have to actually take the SD card out from the bottom and stuff like that. Honest to God, if that's going to be a deal breaker to you, it's barely a big issue. My 5D Mark III that had the ability for me to have the battery grip. I know you can get like a third party battery grip for this. People have been showing, I think it's like a Velo grip or something, and as you can see, it does have, for the 5D Mark III, SD card slot, and of course the other flash card dual card slot. This is something that this camera doesn't have, and I think that's what people are making out as if that's a big deal breaker. Folk, I've went out and I've done wildlife shoots, and you know what that's like. When I'm shooting, obviously I've got it in the drive mode and I'm taking a lot of pictures and stuff like that. When have I ever gone out and done a full shoot and taken up a full SD card? Never. The only time I've ever taken up a full SD card is when I've gone on holiday, and I've probably taken a lot of footage over the course of 1 week on a 2-week holiday, and I'm constantly recording. That's taken up a 32 gig SD card, and that was way back 2012 when I was going to Rome, and I would take a hell of a lot of footage, and at that time that was like 1080p and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I fully understand where folk are coming from. 4K resolution, it's obviously going to chew up a lot more room. This is what it means, that it really all depends and what you're going to use that camera for. If you're someone that's specifically gone out for the sake of recording video, and you're going on a long trip and stuff like that, you would want to take a lot of SD cards or something to store it up to. So one of the things that the Canon EOS R8 has that my 5D Mark III does not have, and it's because of the fact, when I got this camera, and you're talking about, that was 2015, that was coming to the end of the cycle of the 5D Mark III, and all these new cameras were coming out, like the 5D Mark IV and stuff like that. Basically the 5D Mark III does not have that autofocus technology where it will automatically pick up in somebody's eye and recognise and stuff like that. With the lens that I've got on it, this is the 85mm 1.2 Mark II lens, and yourself, anybody that knows this lens, it's not the fact that there's a slow autofocusing, it's the fact that on the 5D Mark III I had to recalibrate to suit for this camera. Prior to that, it wasn't accurate, and obviously having to use one of these adapter rings, which isn't the end of the world, and I've seen comparisons, but by Christ man, you're looking at the RF lenses and they're like thousands of pounds, and I can tell you, you're going to get unbelievable quality pictures with the EF lenses, and that for me was one of the reasons why it was not so much an issue. I've already got all my lenses, so the autofocus technology is something that just picks up like that, and I can show you an example of the difference, because using this 5D Mark III, there's nothing wrong with the camera. It's a fantastic camera, it's going to get a lot of amazing pictures, but the autofocus technology, even using that of my 70-200, and even when using continuous AI servo, concentrating on a dog running towards me, and you'll notice from the pictures that I'm showing you here, the fast moving subject running towards you, and some of the pictures are just not in focus, and that's unfortunate. It's an experience as well, because that was actually my first experience going out and doing that proper type of shoot, because it's pet photography I'm getting into. Of course, I graduated in photography, but I'm telling you something, you can learn how to use a camera. That's only half the battle. The other half the battle is actually the experience going out there and shooting, and you're really only going to do that if you actually gaining that experience doing it. Big experience is a very welcomed experience, but you can see how that can go against you. The fact that it doesn't have the same sort of autofocus technology, the Canon EOS R8, it's just unbelievable. So although it's not really a fair comparison because the other dog was off the lead and running about and stuff like that, you can get away with that. With my cousin's dog, it's a very different story because of the fact he couldn't be let off the lead, and it was more a case of just, you know, trying to get the dog to sit. But even then, you know yourself, the dog's attention's all over the place. It worked like a dream. I had no problem whatsoever, you know, capturing the dog's eyes, even when it was moving about. And that's given the very fact that I had set up the flash. When I went out to do that shoot, folk, I was using the camera the night before, and I was going through the menu system, setting up the camera and everything like that, you know, doing all that sort of stuff, playing about with the menu system. And I didn't charge the battery for the next day because I already had one of my other batteries fully charged. So I had a spare battery, plus the fact I've got another 2 batteries as well, right? All I've got to say is I went through that full shoot. I was able to get through that full shoot without having to worry. You know, I didn't even use up that battery. The camera was tested in terms of the overheating that people were talking about. Average temperature here in Scotland is like 14 or 15 degrees Celsius, so it's even below the temperature that Canon tested it in. I think it was like 23 degrees Celsius. And how often is Scotland going to face that weather? I laugh at that. Not often anyhow. The other thing that I was worried about was the fact that Canon had discontinued DSLR cameras. Now, I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know if it means that they're going to end up discontinuing the batteries that you require for functioning these cameras. I'm not even sure if these, you know, the same type of batteries that go into these mirrorless cameras can be used in the DSLRs. Could somebody clarify that for me? I honestly don't have a clue. Like I say, this is my first mirrorless camera, so I couldn't comment on that in particular. I required this, as you know, because I've already got all my lenses. I've got all my EF lenses and stuff like that. Given the quality of the lenses, the quality of the photographs you can take with them. But I was actually out doing a shoot just the other day, and I was photographing Dunure Castle. Unfortunately, something went wrong with my tripod. I missed the main part of the sunset, and that's just typical. I managed to get some really nice pictures. I'm really happy with them. You'll get to see them. So I went down to that location, to Dunure Castle. The sun, like I say, was setting, and I managed to get some nice video. Much of it I took with the FDR AX100. Enjoy some of this. Again, I had no issue with regards to taking the pictures and stuff like that. One of the things I did forget, however, was to set the 2-second timer. It's easy done, especially when you've not been out and shoot for a wee bit. So one of the things that I had forgot to actually do was to set up my iPhone to link it with the Wi-Fi, to then use that for the sake of hitting the shutter. And if you're just pressing the button, then it can have a wee bit of an issue with regards to you take the picture, but there's the slightest, tiniest wee bit of camera shaking in some of the wee bits. But thankfully, I'm able to correct a lot of stuff using that of the top HasLab software. Their software is absolutely brilliant. I was using actually my movie and photo tripod head, and it enables me to shoot both landscape and portrait, and taking my camera off the tripod for a dedicated camcorder, it's a wee bit frustrating. And you can just set it up, you can take pictures, and then you can just quickly, you know, flick across one switch to video, and you're able to take 4K video as well. And what can I say, I mean, like I said, in the low light you'll see it started getting dark, and you can see how quite dark it was. You know, a moment that I could have lost if I was to take that off the tripod, switch, you know, over to my camcorder, and you can see for the video here. If you were to stick this camera, this 5D Mark III, on something like 6400, there was some other footage that I did take as well. I decided to crank the ISO up, I think it was at, you know, its full capacity. These parts are unedited, so I haven't touched them. For my other video and stuff like that, I use Neat Video, which allows me to, you know, use the noise reduction, but I decided to leave that for those particular, you know, videos that gives you an idea of just how it handles the low light. It's crazy. For me, it's insane. And this is why when people were saying, well, this is an entry-level camera, this is a professional body camera, folk, but for a photographer, I cannot fathom how anybody could say that this isn't for a professional. I can't even compute it. The more I studied photography, because obviously I went through college and stuff like that, but the more I studied photography, the fewer the pictures I was taking. I used to take pure hunters and hunters and hunters. Don't get me wrong, when I was on holiday it was a very different story. When it comes to me doing shoots and what have you, I'm pretty much dedicated on the particular things. And for the length of time that I had the camera on the tripod, and I was taking many pictures of the castle and what have you. I was able to get through one battery, and even if the worst comes to the worst, then of course, as people were saying, just get backup batteries. Now, just to show you how easy this camera is setting up for the sake of speed lights like that of my 600 XRTs, I'll show you that next. Before I forget, however, something to point out to you. I was an owner of one of these, however on holiday the switch had actually broke off, and that was gutting because there's no replacement parts for it. And plus the fact this was, you know, to operate my 600 XRTs, and it would use the batteries and, you know, AA batteries and stuff like that, and it's got all these buttons. The operational is all done through there. And I got with the Canon EOS R8 STE10, so it was a wonderful test with this thing, and all it is simple as locking it, and you've got one simple menu button to press, folk. So just to demonstrate, I'll give you a quick view of that. So as you can see, I've basically got this on. I can switch this across to lock it and set it to on, and then it's just a case of turning the camera on. And again, this is one of the 600 XRTs. Set the grouping and stuff for the back of the camera. Whilst that's sitting behind me, I can then just press the menu button, and I don't know if you can see in the back of the screen, I've got everything there. So it's touchscreen, you can set all the grouping and stuff like that, and just as simple as that. So just as an example, and yeah, that was my microphone. You know, that's what I was using when I had taken pictures of my cousin's dog, and what can I say, it was fantastic. It was unfortunate with the weather, it was overcast. Anyway folk, I don't know if you've got any questions you would like to ask with regards to the camera itself. I mean, okay, some people were talking about how the fact it doesn't have image stabilization, what have you, in the camera. It works good enough in my eyes if you've got an image stabilization set in one of the lenses and what have you. More importantly, in terms of shooting video, I had the full intention anyhow using a tripod, so that for me was not a deal breaker. And okay, get a gimbal. You know, it's not the end of the world. The last thing I would like to add in, of course, in terms of blowing an image up to that of an A1 size, all I've got to say to you is you've got nothing to worry about. I think like the 5D Mark III is a 20 megapixel camera, and I got a photograph blew up to an A1 size. How many people are going to want that? The image quality was amazing, and really the only type of people that are really going to see anything is going to look really close to it, and who does that? So if you're wanting large images printed, you've got nothing to worry about with a 24 megapixel camera. Here are, you know, several of the photographs that I had captured when I was out doing the pet shoot, and of course with regards to some of them, the Done Your Castle shoot. Unfortunately, it was just one of those things with the camera shake thing. It was ever so slight. I was able to fix it, and yeah, hope you enjoy.